Right, in honor of the return to Eldraine, I thought we'd do a fun little deck around the twins. So we're going to start learning with the twins. This is built around Rowan, Scholar of Sparks, and Will, the Scholar of Frost. So the double-sided Planeswalker, so we can cast either side. Interesting thing I always forget is that you can actually cast both of these and have both of them on the field, one either side. Now they have a static ability both, that they reduce instants and sorceries by 1. They then have their own respective abilities. Rowan deals a damage to an opponent, but if you've drawn 3 or more cards, it deals 3 damage. And if we can get it to a -4, we can ultimate and get an emblem where we can copy instants and sorceries. Very reminiscent of her original card from Battle Bond. Will, the Scholar of Frost, is 5 mana, enters with 4 loyalty, and he has a +1. When up to one target creature, base power and toughness becomes 0-2, so he blanks a creature, -3 to draw 2 cards, and a -7 where you can exile 5 permanents. For each permanent exiled this way, make a 4/4 blue and red elemental token. Not the greatest, but statically. I love the design of these cards. I think their static's really fun. Rowan is obviously like the risky one you play early. She has no way to protect herself, like a true red mage, she just runs in. Will is more defensive. I love that Will's negative powers up Rowan's plus and stuff like that. I love the design of these cards. So, we're playing them in a Learn shell with Cram Sessions to gain life and learn. We have our Niv, Leyline Binding. We then have Struggle, Solar Blaze, Deafening Clarion. Culligan's Commander, we are running Wandering Mind to dig for more cards. Legion to Ashes to exile effects. We're running a lot more free drops because of their static ability to reduce the cost of spells. We have Growth Power for Ramp, Tyrant Scorn for creatures, and our sideboard is entirely Learn cards. So we have Reduce to Memory, Contain Breach, Pest Summoning, Illuminate History, Mascot Exhibition, Confront the Past, nice little reanimation for Planeswalkers, Academic Probation, Mercurial Transformation, 2 Environmental Sciences to grab lands, Teaching of the Arcanius to draw a card, Built from Scratch, and Basic Conjuration to dig for a creature, and Introduction to Annihilation as an exile effect. We're just going to try and ramp and learn some spells. Let's see how this does. Alright, we're here with our first match here. Learning with the twins. We're going up against Zapper. We have a single land hand, so a mulligan. 3 lands is acceptable. We are going to get rid of Legions to Ashes because we don't have white. We'll keep Clarion in case they're a creature-based deck. Our opponent mulls to 5, and it appears to be mono-white humans, so this white mana for the Clarion is going to be essential. They drop another Planeshitters for 2 and play a Hopeful Initiate. We'll play a tap land. We hope that they commit to the board here. They take 4 down to 14. Nothing else, so we'll just Clarion here, because it's important to just keep the board clear as possible. They have no follow-up, so here is a great opportunity to deploy Rowan because of her low count. We'll plus her, do a pinging. Opponent drops a Mutavault and plays Ossification to get rid of Rowan. They're going to feel bad about wasting it on there. We'll play Niv Mizzet. We reload. Niv Mizzet grabs us 5 unique cards. Very solid, good answers to everything here, and we have Learn, so we hit everything. Opponent plays a Brutal Kafar, taking away out of Mizzet. Shocking a Sacred Foundry. We'll use the Legions to Ashes here to get rid of Ossification, to get back Rowan, and then we will, I consider Clarion here, but I'm going to drop Wandering Mind instead. If we reload with Niv, we're just going to have to discard more cards, so let's take the Leyline Binding and ping our opponent. We play another Mutavault, and play a Adeline, Resplendent Kafar. They don't want to attack in because we'll get back on Niv. So now we can plus Rowan again. And again, we are down on options here, so we're going to go for Cram Sessions. We're going to go Pest Summoning to gum up the board, throw that down. And we will pass. I forget to make a land drop there. That's interesting to look in the replay. They play Castle Ardenvale. Here comes Thalia. So our spells cost what they should cost because we have a reduction in attacks. Opponents activate the Mutavault here. So in response we're going to Leyline Binding because they could get rid of, well, knock Rowan down here. So we take her out the outline here with the Leyline Binding. They choose not to swing in because it's not going to be advantageous for them. They'll lose everything and we'll lose everything. We'll shock in Hallowed Fountain. We'll get greedy and we'll plus Rowan, I think, instead of ultimating her. But we know we're going to board wipe here, so we swing in with our team. Eventually our opponent will block. We'll gain back a bit more life here from our pests. So we will plus Rowan again, being greedy. Then we'll Clarion. We are going to force our opponent to force the tapper to not screw us over here. The reason we can do this, even though they have Mutavaults, is because we get back in here, we get another reload. We get an excessively huge hand here. So after some consideration, I decided just to pass and mull down 3 cards. Get rid of Struggle to Survive, a land, and a Wandering Mind. Opponent plays another Adeline. Plays a Dauntless Bodyguard. We are going to destroy Adeline here with Tyrant Scorn. And they know they're defeated, so we will just move on there. No sideboarding or learning, so we just passed game 2. Solid showing there. I'd like to point out that I played, and this is going to be my PSA here while we're waiting for the sideboarding. I played 10 games with this thing and 8 of them were Rakdos. But you know, it's a healthy format where we have to fight Rakdos every other game or 3 games in a row. Moving on to game 2. Opponent goes first, so we need interaction if we can find it early on. We have a single land again, so mulliganing. We find 4 lands, 2 free cost removal spells, and a growth spiral, so this is pretty solid. We'll get rid of the steam vents here, which was Hopeful Initiate comes down, we pass. They play a Thalia's Lieutenant, very good start for them. We'll drop a forest. Wait till their turn. They play another land. Drop a Brutal Kafar with nothing to exile. We'll play another land tapped. Opponent swings in, puts us down. We will play a Fabled Passage here. Drop a land. We will force them to discard and we'll kill the Thalia's Lieutenant before it grows too big. Opponent drops a land. They play another land, activate the Mutavault, put us down to 8. I get greedy here and go for Niv Mizzet instead of clearing their board, thinking that the blocker will save me. They have 1 card in hand, as long as it's not exactly removal, then we'll be okay. We find a Cram Sessions and a Wandering Mind. Opponent has literally Ossification off the top. With Mutavault and the attack, that's exactly lethal with training, so yes, we just die. Sadly, yes, that was on mine. I should have used my turn to completely remove them. We're in no danger of getting fort seized here, so we should just constantly just play to our outs. Again, we have to mulligan, but we have a board wipe, so it's pretty decent. I get rid of the Xander's Lounge here. Opponent starts mulliganing themselves. Goes down to 5. We'll play a tap land. Forest into Dauntless Bodyguard. We shock in here. We'll use Cram Sessions. We'll grab one of our Environmental Studies. Opponent drops into the plains and plays a Copper Coat Vanguard, giving their creatures ward. We will play a Fabled Passage here. The reason we'll play Fabled is we can fetch our final forest out, putting our Leyline binding down to 1, which means that we can essentially pay a ward cost if something scary like this Adeline appears. So before combat, we will Leyline binding, get rid of the Adeline, because she's the only creature that survives the Deafening Clarion here. We go down to 14. And then we will just Clarion. We learned our lesson from game 2. We'll keep the board clear. They have another Adeline. We can environmental studies here. We're going to grab the blue, then we can play the blue and use a growth spiral to try to find our next land drop. Again, we find another growth spiral. Apparently we can hit them more efficiently than we can hit anything else. So we're wandering mine looking for a Leyline Binding. We don't find it, but we'll take a Legion to Ashes because that can get rid of Adeline. The Ossification, take out our blocker, hit us down to 8. We top deck a Solar Blaze, which is great for us, but we'll just use Legions to Ashes here to take out Adeline because she's already too strong. Opponent hits us for 2, we go down to 6. We find our next land drop. I choose to play Niv Mizzet here. It's a little risky, but I worked out that there's no lethal attack here. Except then I realized afterwards and I got stressed because it could be lethal if they have Valious Lieutenant. They're doing maths. Well, they need removal Valious Lieutenant. They play a Recruitment Officer. They don't swing in. So now we have some good options. So first things first, I need to get rid of this Recruitment Officer because it's just going to find them more abilities. So what we're going to do here is force the tap again because our auto tapper is terrible. 2 damage, make them discard. In response, they'll activate Recruitment Officer. They find a Hopeful Initiate. Then they discard a Portable Hull. We have removal here, and I'm going to hold it up for the potential activation of the Mutavault, because that's the hardest thing we struggle to get rid of in this situation. But they don't use it, so instead we'll keep the board clear with a Tyrant Scorn on the Hopeful Initiate. We draw another land here, so we're in good stead. So now I consider Rowan or I consider Will here. However, instead I'm going to go with Cram Session, grab Containment Breach, use the Containment Breach on Ossification, which will trigger us getting a Pest and get our creature back. So we go up to 3 blockers and gain another removal spell. The perfect removal spell because it can take out all these human tokens with a single cast. They play a Valious Lieutenant, pumping their board. They still don't have enough to kill us here. So in response we will use Legion's Initiative, kill all the human tokens. And then I consider again what to do. Instead I'm going to go to combat. I'm going to attack with Niv Mizzet. I'm going to put a sizable clock on them. They activate the Mutavault again. They cast a second Valious Lieutenant, so in response we'll kill Mutavault with Tyrant Scorn. That puts them down. The Valious Lieutenant goes up to a 3/3, they swing in. We'll trade both these creatures because we have enough in hand not to worry about it. So with our current situation we're fine, so we'll deploy Rowan. And we'll ping them, and we'll hold them for the upkeep Kolaghan's Command to make them discard their drawn card and kill the creature. They must know we're doing it and they concede. So pretty fun. We're moving to our next match here. So I'm going to give a heads up there. This is the Rakdos match I chose to highlight. Just watch how this goes. So we get Thoughtseize on turn 1, like the other 7 times. They take away our Legions to Ashes, even though we haven't got the spells to cast it. Turn 2, they play Blood-type Harvester, like every Rakdos deck ever. We're going to just kill that with a Tyrant Scorn and keep their board clear. Play another Swamp, they Thoughtseize us again. They take our Clarion, they play a Replica Bankbuster, so in response we'll use Kolaghan's Command to make them discard a card and blow up the Bankbuster before they get anything out of it. They discard a Push and have nothing else. They hardcast the Bonecrusher Giant. So I'm going to shock in here, use Cram Sessions, grab a Environmental Science and use that to grab our missing 5th land here. So all we have to do is dodge one more Thoughtseize effect, which we do. They drop a Shieldred. We'll play our land, play our Niv Mizzet. Niv Mizzet doesn't draw us cards, so we won't take any damage at all. Opponent draws off their turn, plays a Misery Shadow. We top deck a Leyline Binding, so that's perfect. So we're Leyline Binding. and they concede because they have no more threats in their hand. We just run it back. So, I chose this game to highlight because the other games were 50-50s. It was basically, did they get the nut draw, like 40s, 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 then there was nothing else. And I didn't want to put in multiple matches of Rakdos, why I played so much here to get a difference of games. I chose this one for our next game here. We keep a total 7 cards, and they go again, turn 1 40s, like every Rakdos deck you will ever see. We lose an Niv-Mizzet to that. They shock in, they play a Kroxa, new tech for the deck. We'll just discard land, we take 3 here. We'll play another tap land. They play 3, play Blood-type Harvester. And just sit here waiting, apparently. Yeah, I don't remember. Right, we shock in here and we'll use our Widespread Thievery. We need to find a blue or a white spell so we can just cast some of these spells in our hand. We'll put another Niv-Mizzet under the Widespread. They could have Invoke Despair because they had to give every color an answer to everything because everyone plays Commander now. They hardcast the Bone Crusher Giant. We find white mana, which is perfect for us. So we'll shock in here, we go down to 10. Now, we wait till their turn. They go to attack. So, first things first, Growth Spiral makes us a treasure. We draw a card. We grind a K command, which is great for us. So we will return from graveyard, return on Niv-Mizzet, and kill the Bone Crush, kill the Blood-type Harvester, which gives us another land. They loot away another card here. We get back into Niv-Mizzet. We take 4, go down to 6. They play a Misery Shadow. And they go for a Duress, which makes me laugh because we have 2 Leyline Bindings, they can't deal with both. They take one of them. We top deck Solar Blaze, so that's perfect. I consider playing Rowan, but then I remember she's not multicolored, so we won't trigger the Widespread Thievery. I'm afraid, Rowan, you're going to have to be discard fodder because they're probably just going to cast the Kroxa, so we Solar Blaze, 2 mana open. Our opponent hardcast Kroxa from the graveyard. In response, we will discard Rowan and Will. Then we will Leyline Binding, and we'll Leyline Binding the Kroxa. And now our opponent decides to be a little swear word and rope us out. I'm going to just say this straight up. If you are playing the best deck in the format, you have exclusive sleeves, you have the exclusive art, you've spent all this money doing everything on this. You can't be a little swear word when the one game, because no deck will win every time. So we're just going to spam emotes here because I'm actually annoyed. Our opponent didn't get screwed at any point in this game. They had good mana, good creatures, good interaction. It was just how the deck stacked up. We took them out on that regard. And our opponent just decided to be a little swear word in ranked. Maybe because I'm in silver, they're in gold, they thought they couldn't do it. But we just span out another Niv here. The hilarious thing is, our Niv hit's not even that good. They could totally still come back from this. But they just want to time out and rope because their top tier best of deck didn't go perfect. And it's really annoying. I think I should have the ability to blacklist players like this. Like on MTGO. Like, you don't even have... Wizards, you don't even have to do a thing like investigate these reports. You just have to give us the ability to blacklist players. Because I never want to run into ropers like this again. So, we win against a little bitchy swear word loser who can't take a bad loss in a fictional ranked game that's going to reset in a month anyway. So we'll move to match 3. The consistency of us hitting our basic lands in these games has been insane. So we'll get rid of our Solar Blaze. They play Usher of the Fallen, so I think this could be a Boros Convoke deck. Play another land, swing in, boast, make it 1-1. We don't have blue yet, so we're just going to have to keep working down. They boast again, making another 1-1. So what we'll do is we'll use Kolaghan's Command, make them discard and kill a creature. They have, in effect, everything. We see an equipment creature, which makes me think this might actually be a Hammer Time variant. They play a Team Pennant, which lets them pump their tokens, putting us down to 12. I'm going to use Allegiance to Ashes here to exile both their creatures. They still haven't found their third land yet. They play a Blade Master. We find our fourth land. Gonna shock it in. Problem is, I can't use both of these, so what I'm going to do is use Kolaghan's Command, destroy their equipment, and kill their creature. Just keep their board clear. Our opponent plays a Colossal Hammer, confirming this is indeed a Hammer Time variant. So I'm going to, on my side here, we basically have a turn off here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use Cram Sessions, grab an Environmental Studies, but I'm going to hold up a Leyline Binding because I'm not familiar with the deck. They could have a hasty threat that could put me in a lot of danger here. They play a Kiri, so we're going to flash in a Leyline Binding, take her out, don't let Hammer Time have a single creature. A little overprotective, true, but I have died enough times in Modern to Hammer to know you never live in Breathing Room. Even here we hold up a Tyrant Scorn. They play Fighter Class. They search for a Rabbit Battery. We'll drop a Widespread Thievery. Let's just put another Solar Blaze underneath it. And we get to hold up a Tyrant Scorn here. All in all, this deck still needs some work, but it's been a lot of fun before we get to the Return to the Eldraine, just to play some of the play the twins before their new incarnation. Will Tyrants go and take out the Rabbit Battery? Again, don't leave Hammer Time with a creature ever. We'll cast Niv Mizzet. Reload! We find a good spread of cards. And we pass. And I believe our opponent just ropes us from here, which is a real shame. Again, just seems to be the feeling here, particularly that I'm fighting these golds, and the gold players want to just rope out because I had the better draw in the random ass card game. So strange. Anyway, deck feels really fun. Nowhere top tier. Please don't craft this. It's just been fun to play with Will and Rowan before we return to Eldraine this week. Hope everyone enjoyed the gameplays, and we will see you next time.